So, for today's podcast, we are very fortunate enough to talk to two more recent grads. We've really enjoyed having these conversations this summer. And so, we want to say a special welcome to Ada Emerson and your twin brother,
Mm.
Oliver Emerson. So, Oliver and Ada, welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having us. Oh, jinx.
Hey, that's all right. You're twins. Feel free to talk
Yeah.
at the same time. Nothing wrong with that. So, okay, we're just going to go back and forth because this is such an exciting time. I mean, here you are, recent graduates. So, Ada, let's start with you. Just go back to when we had commencements, and that's always such an exciting time for everyone. It's such a celebration. You all had a packed stadium of friends and family watching you and your classmates. Like, what do you think when you go back all of a sudden you think, wow, I went through commencement. I've already graduated.
It's really weird to think about. Like, I don't think I've really processed it yet.
I've heard other people say that.
First time I really processed or kind of processed it was
Yeah.
when we were taking that like husky walk around the track and then looking at the stadium filled with people. I was just in awe. Like that moment, it did feel real. And the sunset during the graduation, it also felt very, very real. But since then, I haven't had much time
Right.
to think about it.
Sure. What about you, Oliver?
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. I remember being on that track with Ada when we were walking around and we were like, "Oh my God, this is real."
Sure.
And I've thought about it like a little bit like since then. And the biggest thing that's for me is like it's just so weird to think about how we're going to college in
Right.
like less than 2 months.
Right.
That's very weird.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So, since you brought that up, Oliver, I know it might be strange. You're not going to the same school. So, first of all, Oliver, where are you going?
I'm going to Butler University, which is about 30 minutes from Indianapolis.
Okay.
I am planning on studying secondary education to become a high school teacher.
And what subject area?
Most likely history.
Most likely history. And Ada, what about you? What's your plans for when school starts?
I plan to go to Washington University in St. Louis and study philosophy, neuroscience, psychology on a pre-med track.
Okay. Have both of you known kind of what you've wanted to do, high school teacher, medicine, for a long
Yeah.
time? Is this
Yeah.
really just taken shape lately? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to say always, but at least for the past year and a half or so.
Started to become more clear.
Yeah, that's just what I've wanted to do, and I've always wanted to work with kids in some form. So I just think that high school teacher it's just a really good choice for me.
Sure. Well, we're thrilled to have you in education. Ada, what about you with medicine? When did that start to take shape for you?
When I was a little girl, like I always looked up to my dad, and he was a doctor, and I was like, I want to be a doctor. And most people always told me like, people just say that your plans are going to change,
Sure.
but I think it is genuinely what I want to do. But I don't want to go straight into like a biology or a chemistry major. I want to learn other things. So that's why I picked philosophy, neuroscience, psychology, so I could have a more like broad understanding of my future studies.
And I know I'm asking you this way in advance because you certainly have a lot of time ahead of you, but any idea what you think you would like to specialize in the medical field?
Maybe cardiothoracic surgery, but
Okay.
that stuff always changes,
Sure.
especially like when I start rotations and
Sure.
residency and stuff like that.
Sure. While we're talking about what's kind of, as you've made this decision about not only where to go to school, but what you foresee in your future, Oliver, since you're doing secondary education, anything stand out as far as a particular class in high school that you took that you thought, this is something that really would appeal to me doing this?
Yeah, I actually have like a specific teacher.
Yeah, let's
too.
hear it.
And I know a lot of people could like say the same thing about the same teacher, but I had a teacher my sophomore year named Mr. Bedwell.
Okay.
And it was only like his second year, but just the energy that he brought to the classroom.
Was he a history teacher?
Yes, and he was a history
Okay.
teacher.
All right.
Just the energy he brought, he was everyone's favorite teacher. Everyone loved him. And
What kind of things did he do that you think made everybody have that connection and that
well,
love for him?
he just had he would just have regular conversations with people
Sure.
and he wouldn't make it super strict. It was pretty laid back. It wasn't the hardest class, but it also wasn't the easiest class in the world. And he just created like an environment that I know everyone in the class felt like they could just like chill and hang out
Sure.
and be
And learn all at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Great.
I second that. I actually had him this past year for AP World History, and while I was like the oldest one in the class, he was still extremely like relatable. He tried to relate to his students on like a level beyond just teaching skills, and he like made sure everybody was heard. And I think that's what makes us drawn to him. He's just a relatable, funny, like charismatic dude.
Sure. Made you want to learn whatever he was
Yes,
teaching.
absolutely.
Sure. Let's talk a bit about the decision on college. So we'll go back to you, Oliver, for you to choose your school. How did you come to that decision?
Well, I've always been, ever since we started taking college visits, I've always been drawn to Butler's campus,
Okay.
and I just really love the environment there. Butler has a very small class size. There's only about 4,000 students there, so the average class size is like 25 or something
Sure.
like that, which is really nice. I really like the idea of a small classroom, because I want to be able to feel seen and feel like I can
Sure.
talk to my teachers and meet with them on
Sure.
a personal level. So that was a really big reason, and they also have a really good education. What's the word?
Just
Education.
a school of
Yeah,
education to
school of
prepare you
education.
for your future
Yeah,
career.
so just everything about that school just seemed to reach to me, from the campus to the schools
So
to
you
the
knew
class
it when you
size.
made that decision. You feel good about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure it's a fantastic school. What about your decision in making your journey to make your decision, Ada?
It was a lot more intense for me. I didn't know where I wanted to go, and I didn't really have any idea whatsoever. And so during junior year, my parents took me on a whole bunch of college visits, and they gave me a list of potential colleges that they thought I would like ranging from very, very small schools with just a couple
Sure.
hundred students to like big state schools. And after a couple visits, I came to the conclusion that I wanted a like small learning environment and a small school rather than a big school. So I started looking at like small private schools in various locations, ranging from like California all the way to New York. And I always thought I would go very far, but when I got into WashU, I had to go. That's
Sure.
where I really wanted to go.
Just like your brother said, you kind of knew it. It started to take shape,
Yes.
and you knew that was the
Yes.
decision for you, and another outstanding school too.
Yes.
Have to ask both of you, since you are twins, what about thinking about not being in the same spot next year? Different? Is that a different feeling? Something you've made your peace with, obviously? What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely going to be weird, just because, especially because we have younger siblings, we've had to work together on a lot of things.
Sure.
So we're gonna have to be able to find that balance of not being able to connect and be together as much. But I definitely think we'll still be in touch and be in contact and be able to be
Sure.
there for each other if we need each other.
Sure. Sure. You feel the same way, I'm
Yes,
sure.
I feel the same way. There's definitely many ways around it. I mean, I expected to go further, so it's great that we're only like 3 hours
Sure.
apart.
Not very far at all,
Yeah, and
really.
he can come pick me up and drive me
Right.
home since I won't have a car.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, he's always just a phone call away. So
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
we'll
That's
work
great.
through it.
And then let's talk finally about what you're doing this summer, because I think it seems like it's just so interesting. What I know you're having a great experience, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing this summer.
So we are both, at least for the month of June, we are both camp counselors at the YMCA Camp Carson.
Okay.
Um, we are doing 4 weeks of actual counseling, but it's a 5-week total thing with staff training. Camp Carson is a camp that we've been going to since we were very young, and I know it's something that we have both wanted for a very long time. So it's just really cool to be able to finally be a camp counselor and sort of, give that experience to the kids that we were given
Sure.
like for 12 years or 11 years
Right.
or
Right.
whatever.
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm sure for you, especially wanting to go into
Yes.
education, it's a great opportunity for you to interact with students in a little different format.
It's I said this to I've said this to multiple people since I've been there. This is like working with kids is just what I want to do. So so I can definitely see myself being with this specific camp for like a really long time, for
Sure.
many
Well,
years
it
going
has a
forward.
great reputation, been
Oh
around
yeah,
for a long time. Outstanding
definitely.
place for students to spend their summer. What about you? How's your thoughts? What are your thoughts about it, Ada?
I think it's all about making that camp magic that we felt when we were there. It truly is such an inclusive and fun environment, and it's now our turn to do our part and what was given to us for so many years, like 10 years now, I
Yeah.
think.
Kind of returning the favor,
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
back.
exactly. We have progressed through all of the teen programs the past couple years, like LIT, which is leader in training, then CIT, which is counselor in training, and then last summer we did Service Corps, which was 2 weeks of community service where we kind of learned how to be counselors, but we also learned how to work hard and do
Sure.
dishes. And we learned the struggle of like,
Some of the behind the scenes.
yes, a
Yes,
full day
yes.
of work. And it was very difficult, but that's kind of when we realized like this is something we actually want to do. Like seeing the smiles on all the kids' faces and hearing all the laughter all day long, it pushes you to be a part of that, and you want to give back. And
Sure.
And when you're a service corps, the campers can't really tell a difference between if you're a counselor or not. They kind of just see you the same way.
Mhm.
So you're able to still create all those like amazing experiences that you can as a counselor. So doing those 2 weeks, like Ada said, is just what set it in stone that it's what we wanted to do.
it was a little taste of what we would experience this summer. And so
Sure.
that's why we're back.
Well, I'm glad it's
Yeah.
going so well for both of you. I'm going to ask you each one more question, then I won't keep you any longer. So if you look about school starting, not for you all, I mean in college, but for those students that maybe are in high school or middle school when school starts in August, what's a piece of advice you would like to share now that you're graduates, now that you have that wisdom? What would each of you like to say and pass along to advice to any students that might be listening to this? Oliver, you want to start? You look like you've got a thought already.
Okay, so I definitely think it's kind of an obvious one. It's kind of a basic one, but don't procrastinate, because I definitely procrastinated my like freshman and sophomore year, and I always just felt like I had a lot on my plate, but then I was able, but then come junior year, I made it a priority to just anytime I was assigned something, I would just get it done as fast as possible, just to not have to worry about it.
Right. You didn't
And
put it off.
I didn't put it off. If we had an assignment due in 2 days, it was done that day. If we had an assignment
Right.
due in a week, it was done within a few days. I really just feel like that is the best way to approach high school. And I know it's hard for some people to not procrastinate because they have so much going on, and it's hard to put your
Well, it's
mind.
all about being organized and getting a
Yes, yeah.
system in place that works for you. And great advice for you to pass along, but it sounds like that you've kind of mastered that now, and that's only going to pay dividends for you in college.
Yes, I really, going forward to college, am going to make sure that I do not procrastinate, and I keep up with studying and homework, because I want to be able to get the most out of the experience I'm given.
Okay. And Ada, what about you? What's your advice for students?
Well, first, I'd like to applaud him on that, because I definitely noticed like a serious shift in his habits. And I mean, he blossomed in the end because of those changed habits. And he really did care about school and really did try hard and study and get his homework done, zero procrastination. But a piece of advice that I would like to give, it's kind of the opposite of his. It's slow down. I was very, very like go, go, go all the
Sure.
time. No breaks. Always had a list of things to do. I mean, and then I thought that like I was motivating myself and pushing myself and that it's necessary to succeed. But in reality, I should have just slowed down and taken a break and seen my friends more, spent more time with my
Sure.
family.
Enjoy the moment.
Yes, enjoy the moment and just breathe, because so much stress was put into my high school experience and it's really not necessary. I would still be where I am today without that. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, and kind of like we talked about with your brother's organizational skills, maybe this advice you're passing along will help you in college. Not that you're not going to work extremely hard,
Yeah.
but that maybe to strike that balance.
Yes, I need to definitely work on balance. I definitely got better with it at the end of
Well, that's
senior
good. That's
year.
great.
But yeah, my advice is to slow down.
Okay. Well,
I-
that is great advice.
I'll add
Yeah,
something. I
please.
really do this kind of combination of it. I just overall, I just think the best thing is balance. You just have to
Yes.
just do it, because it's different for everybody. Everybody has
Sure.
different lives. The biggest thing is you just have to find that balance. You have to find what you can do to create the best balance in your life, so you aren't stressed. Because if you're stressed, then it's going to affect you in all areas of
Sure.
your life. So you just want to be able to do what you can to create the best balance.
Well, that is great advice to pass along. So I hope any of our students that are listening to this take that in. And it's great advice for you all to kind of absorb that so that you can keep that in place moving forward. So Oliver and Ada, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're very busy with summer camp and everything going on at Camp Carson. So you kind of worked your schedule out to run home from Camp Carson and do this podcast with us. So we really appreciate it. Congratulations on your recent graduation. And we wish you nothing but the best moving forward in your college experience at Butler and at Washington University. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.